can I dance to it? And if I can't dance to it, do I really want to be playing it?
They think, oh, it's just hip hop and it's not really Christian.
There is a Christian hip hop artist for just about every background of person now.
It's a vehicle that God uses to connect with people, because like not everyone's just going to come to church.
Anytime you have an audience or any kind of thing, it is theater.
This is the Lord. He has his hand in this. This is where he wants me to go.
I see the transformation. I'm like, God is working.
Real interviews, real guests, no actors. Real talk, get prepared for Free Factor.
This is Scott Freedevore. You're checking out the Free Factor podcast. I am in the house with none other than DJ Nuah. What's up, Nuah?
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Nuah, DJ Nuah.
It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you since we did Set Free back in end of January, man. You killed the show. You were the star of the show, bro.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna set it off, but man, you set it off to like 100 times greater than what I had in mind.
Oh, thank you.
Dude, your energy level is like I'm 45, so you said you're a 24?
24.
Yeah, so I got a couple decades on you, but man, like even before your set, you were just live and the crowd and like getting everything going. So man, I just really appreciate you showing up and doing what you did that night.
Man, I'm glad you had me, man. that was my first Boiler Room set. Like I've been like doing like a lot of my friends have been doing some Boiler Room sets, but I've been working the same night, so I hadn't actually even gotten to see them do it. But man, it's my first time seeing a Boiler Room set and actually being a part of one. So that was really awesome.
So how did you get into DJing?
It's funny. I was really just learning sound engineering. I don't know. It really started with me wanting to make my own songs, so I realized, I have to learn engineering. I have to learn this. It's before I knew what outsourcing was. I had to learn thought I had to learn everything.
Yeah.
So, I started just learning like sound engineering for live sound, working with Mo Henderson at my church. And I was doing it at my school too, because I was the only person there who knew how to work the equipment besides the dean, and he's got to watch people. So I'm doing that. And for basketball games, I'm just playing music. People are starting to call me the school DJ. And I kind of fought it for a bit. And then one of my old teachers told me, hey, play around with this software. It was like cracked copy of Virtual DJ 7 or 6 or something like that.
Okay.
And so I played around with that for a bit, and my parents got me a controller for Christmas that year, and then the rest was kind of history.
Okay, nice. What was your first controller?
Pioneer DDJ-SB.
Okay, all right, nice. What year was that?
2015.
Okay. How long did it take you to, I remember when I first started DJing. Like this is back in the 90s. I had this little Radio Shack mixer and just like 2 CD inputs. And you couldn't do anything other than fade in and out a song.
And that's kind of what I was doing like before. I was doing the 2000s version of that, where basically I had like Windows Media Player open and just kind of crossfading between songs.
Yeah.
Like instrumentals, because I was that's all I could play at the school I went to. And I was just kind of crossfading at the end until like he told me he played around with that copy of Virtual DJ, and even that was still having crossfade. But that's how I kind of learned how to sync and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
of course I'm part of the generation that like I started DJing with sync and learned how to DJ without it afterwards.
Yeah. And
I kind it's kind of like from a classic standpoint, I learned backwards.
Yeah.
But I still knew how to count beats and bars and stuff.
When I was DJing a long time ago, I had like when I got into college and I got some CDJs. I got like one of the first original CDJs that came out, and it didn't have a BPM reader or anything like that. You actually had to buy a separate BPM thing to even know what the beats were. So you're just kind of doing everything by ear. So you had to really like pick it up, because if you start going from like a 86 to a 95 and you didn't know how to slow it down, you would totally kill the vibe in a party. Mm-hmm. So I was like a party DJ. And then I did some, like when I went to college, I started to like pick up some gigs, started doing some high school, middle school, like events. And I was doing all the events on college. And most of the real DJing that I did was kind of after parties. So, people were just having a good time. They didn't really care so much if you weren't like lined up with your beats. Right. It was just more about playing the right song, and like keeping the party going. But, whenever I had to do like a real like thing, if you start messing up, with your beats and like not mixing them the right way because they're off,
Boots in the dryer.
Oh yeah, yeah. That you get this sound or going out that's just like, oh, people are like looking back at the DJ like, what's wrong with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
So you had to learn real quick how to get those beats mixed and sound lined up right. So you started syncing, automatically, and then you kind of learn like how to, kind of do it without it.
Yeah.
How long did it really take you to like where you felt like, man, I'm like I got this down. I think I'm pretty good at this.
Quicker than probably should have been DJing in front of people. I mean, once I realized, okay, these songs can be matched. Let me start doing mashups and let's start mashing up songs like right away, live, mixing this instrumental with that instrumental. Not really caring about like exactly what key I was playing, but I mean, I had played, I played keys growing up, so I knew about, different keys, different chords, beats and bars and all that stuff. I didn't really know phrases then.
Yeah.
But I still kind of understood the patterns of music from that point.
Yeah.
So I was already writing my own songs. I just kind of just learning it as I went along by that point. So, because by that point I'd already like started producing music. I'd already started like writing the song all the way out. At that point I just needed to learn how to record it, and I ended up learning how to DJ instead.
What was like the first gig that like whether you got paid or not, you did it and there was like people there?
Basketball games.
Okay.
That was kind of like my go-to gig / practice because I was already playing music for them. Once I had the equipment, I just realized, okay, I could just fit this right there on the right there on the scoreboard next to the scorekeeper and the people keeping stats, and just started doing that. And that was essentially open audience. Technically, I got volunteer hours for it, but I never actually,
Nice.
I never actually like signed the paper each and every day. So, Ms. Johnson, you owe me a couple more hours from 7 years ago.
What high school did you get to?
Potter's House.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I went to the school, the church, K through 12.
Okay, awesome. So you're Jacksonville born and raised.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up on that side of town, I'm assuming.
Further out, closer to like the Chimney Lakes area.
Okay.
Chimney Lakes area, and then I moved into like the a little bit north into like the Chafee-ish area.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Out there. So what's kind of when you were you always like Christian hip hop, or were you in any secular music?
Actually, I was really more so into Christian hip hop going into it. I would basically listen to whatever my dad would play at home, and then I'd like every now and then I like listen to Radio Disney. It's weird how I got into just music in general.
So Radio Disney.
Yeah, I would like try to find Radio Disney. It was AM 600 until it was gone, and then from that point it was okay. I was kind of into YouTube, but I wasn't into YouTube and music videos. I didn't really have a desire to just learn any kind of new music. If I just liked a song, it's probably something that was on my dad's hard drive, and I would just throw it in the playlist and play it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how it was for a good bit until I was about maybe 11, 12. And that's when I was like, yeah, I want to listen to some of the, well, I started listening to like some, I guess, more edgier stuff. But honestly, it was just the Ryan Higa videos where he said the A word.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And then about like the time I was like 14 is when I was like, oh, this is the radio station with all the secular stuff. Let me figure out what's current. And I was just really good at putting it together. For like basketball games, this song is hype, has a hype instrumental. Play it when they run out for basketball, and I was just easy to gauge that. And from then I realized, okay, what are the party songs? If we'd win, I'd play just a bunch of party songs back to back to back to back to back, and then if we lose, sometimes I would still try to sneak some in because I still wanted to dance a bit,
Yeah, nice.
But
so music's always been part of your life.
Yeah.
Were you playing instruments, singing? Like what other?
Started out dancing, actually.
Okay. And I can see that because, man, you were killing it on the dance floor at our Christian hip-hop event.
Thank you. Mom had me in ballet classes from like 3 years old, and I did it pretty much every like Thursday or Tuesday, depending on what day she had the class. They used to have a dance studio upstairs at the school.
Okay.
It was like basically the size of 2 of the classrooms because back when like the school was the church, they needed a place to practice. So they had a whole dance studio there with mirrors. It was really good, actually. It was a really good space. Um, and I think I stopped about fourth grade, stopped doing ballet, and I just liked flags because they looked like lightsabers. And so I basically did flags until I was like in high school when I decided to need a bit more ballet training because I was trying to do a bunch of extra Michael Jackson moves that I realized, okay, I need to actually like get some form back into me.
Mm.
So of course, like I got into Michael Jackson dancing around the time he died, actually, and that kind of got me into like hip hop dancing, and that's how I got into Christian hip hop, which is how I got into hip hop and just hip hop in general.
Gotcha.
It was just through dancing. Most of it really starts at the fundamental, like when I'm DJing, is can I dance to it? And if I can't dance to it, do I really want to be playing it? You know?
Yeah, no, that's like pretty profound when you think about it because I was going to ask the question, how has dancing helped you be a better DJ? And I think you just answered. You
Yeah,
answered
it's
it
pretty
before
much
I
that.
asked
Like it's danceability, like 100%. Like I know they have all these different scales about danceability, but and the more I grow, like as a, I don't want to say musician, but I play I play a bit of keys. I'm not like a key expert, but I can figure out a song. I can play by ear. Um, as much as I love music, I love dancing to music more. So even then, a song can be like really good, but if I got to find a way to dance to it, which is why like I started wanting to expand dance types again because I want this music to speak to me, and a lot of times it speaks to me through dance.
Yeah, yeah. What's your favorite um mix that you put together? Like, is there like a combination of songs? Like, oh, like this. Like that's like my go-to. I love the
I
kind
do
of.
have like a couple go tos. One that I use often actually. It's like the ending of it's like two songs that I had like small routines that are like if I play this, I'm usually gonna go here unless I'm feeling like switching it up. But like I'll go from the ending of WAP and all of that. I have like this edit where it's an acapella intro of Jump on It, where I like all right prep the whole thing, and then the bongos will come in, and that's when I actually get ready, and then boom, do into Apache.
Oh, okay, nice.
So
Yeah.
that's something that always hits because I'm usually always going to hop onto whatever kind of proscenium or stage you have there, and I am going to ham it up.
Were you always like that like outgoing, when
Yeah.
you're mixing? Like you're,
Uh,
you're almost like you're performing.
yeah.
You're not just here, mixing a song and lining up, but you're into it and you're performing.
Yeah. Like one thing about like especially like because of who my dance teacher was, she always liked to be. One thing she taught me is like, hey, movements have to be big. Perform for the back of the room, or as she liked to say, perform for God in heaven because heaven's far.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
that was like what they would. I had that ingrained for me from 3 years old, and I had the same teacher all the way up until then. Even when I was, when I started teaching her hip hop class, I still would watch her and how she would teach, and that was a big influence on how I just how I am when I have a presence where I feel like I'm on a stage. Yeah, and then of course getting into acting and acting classes, it's actually funny what the first thing that my professor said is like, anytime you have an audience or any kind of thing, it is theater.
Yeah.
And that first thing I did, maybe like the one thing that like went straight into anything else I do, like DJing. He said, teaching right now, it's theater. This is theater. That is theater. I'm like, wow, everything is theater. And
Yeah.
it just kind of
Absolutely.
went, I put everything, presentation into everything I try to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my kids, they actually do theater, and I used to live in LA when they're real little. So I grew up in Maryland. I moved to LA, and this is like 2013. And my wife's like, hey, why don't we see if we can get our kids into like some TV commercials because you're in LA.
Yeah, you had to do something.
Just think that's what you just do. And believe it or not, it was actually pretty simple.
That was actually when I actually switched from community theater to trying to get into film and TV. I was surprised at how easy it was to just get on set.
Yeah, very easy.
It's hard. It's not hard to like maintain. It's hard to like maintain if you want to like make it a full-time job,
Right.
and you have to keep schedules between this company, that company. That's why so many people get managers. But getting on set is easy.
Yeah.
They're always looking for extras.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like people make careers out of like
Out of just
extra
being an
and
extra.
background.
When I was on a I was set to be an actor. I was in a background actor for Medea Home. Was it Homecoming? Whatever the newest one was. It was the Red Lobster scene.
Okay.
I didn't make it in the scene because they called 400 people for the 40-person scene. So like only 40 people got to be in there, but I wasn't even lucky enough to get out of the holding tent.
Yeah.
But one of the guys there, he had to leave early because he had to be on set for a show at a prison, which I forgot what it was, but it was pretty big at the time. And he was also telling me about he's the one who technically spoiled to me that Daredevil would be in Spider-Man No Way Home. He was like, it's a British guy. He was like, I was on set with the guy who plays Daredevil for Spider-Man. I was like, no. You mean Charlie Cox? That's his name, Charlie Cox. Yeah, he's in the movie. He's Peter's lawyer after he gets exposed. I'm like, dude, don't lie to me because they just took him out of the MCU. They just took him out. You telling me they put him back in? And then of course, fast forward. Second I saw his cane pop in the movie, I was like, dude, he was right. Wow. Now I'm like, every time I watch the movie, I try to find the scene he was in because he told me what scene he was in. They just chopped it up.
Yeah, I saw you post. You did like a cellular phone commercial. Like it was like a year ago, right? Like a March Madness basketball.
Oh, so it was in Invesco.
Instagram. Right?
Yeah, it was Invesco.
Yeah, Invesco.
Yes, it was. I think that's like an ETF.
Okay.
So it was a commercial advertising the ETF, which ironically I had seen a couple of those commercials on Hulu before. So when I realized what it was for, I was like, oh, okay, they're doing a thing for March Madness, and that was really fun because they had actual basketball players on the bench and they had a bunch of actors on the court. So they actually brought in someone from the WNBA who this was up in Atlanta in the Hawk Stadium. So they had one of the players for the Magic. I forget her name, but I think she's still on the team. I forgot what number and everything, but my friend said she's still on the team in Atlanta. But they actually choreographed a play for us to do. And I remember take one, my arm was too high and I actually like swatted the heck out the ball when he passed it. I'm like, my bad, man. I don't know, maybe my inner middle school fouling self just, because I was never good at sports, ever. So they would just like, I would either just foul you, like a reach and foul, because I'm just going to go for the ball and I'm not going to let you get past me, or I would just get crossed up every time, one or the other. No in between.
So have you done like a lot of like TV, like commercial type stuff?
Not a lot yet. Done a lot of auditions, as it is with acting. You get a lot more rejections than you do auditions, and then you get a lot more auditions than you do bookings.
Yeah, so 100%. Do you have an agent?
I do.
Yeah. Out of Atlanta?
Out of Atlanta, yeah. With YJB Talent. Shout out to Doricia. Love you.
So my kids, when we were in LA, they got signed to like one of the top agencies, AEFH. So they were there, and then when we moved to Florida, they kept them on the roster, and then we actually found an agent for them in Orlando, Brevard.
Okay.
So they were pretty young, and when you're younger, a lot of times you're booking just for someone who like looks the profile, like you're basically matching up a kid to look like they belong to the family of
someone else, yeah.
And well, even before we left LA, like I had the opportunity to be in some TV commercials because a lot of times they were casting like real families. So we did like a Chevy commercial together that paid really nice. It was a SAG.
Yeah.
Me and my wife and my two kids were in it. And we got paid like tens of thousands of dollars each for that one commercial. Wow. My oldest has probably done the most. I wouldn't say she got all her college paid for, from the commercial she did, but she's done some for like Life Alert. She did that Chevy one. I can't even remember. Probably done about a dozen commercials. But then unfortunately when COVID hit in 2019 at the same time my kids got into that dead zone age where they're now becoming teenagers, but now they have 18-year-olds who look like they're 13 and 14, right? So the opportunities to book jobs kind of like really went away. So COVID happened. They hit that certain age group where the opportunities were like less and less because now you got adults who can play the teenage roles, and they sort of from that they gravitated to just theater.
Yeah.
So like theater, they love theater now. So
That's awesome.
they
That's
do a
awesome.
lot with their schools and some of the theaters in town. Very talented. So both my kids, a lot of times, they booked like the main role in some of the productions that they've been in. They've done that to everything from doing like tech, but they truly love it. Uh, like my oldest, she wants to move to New York, go to college. She'll love to go to Juilliard. She's not able to do that. She wants to be on Broadway. Like we were just in New York over spring break a couple weeks ago. Saw like 3 shows.
Yeah, I
The
was
3 nights
there.
were there.
I was there in February for Fashion Week.
Oh, nice,
I
nice.
think it was like a couple weeks. I think I had like 3 or 4 weeks just back to back to back. I was like really busy. Like I had that show, and then I went to New York a couple weeks after that because Fashion Week was maybe like 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after that. It
Okay.
was in February. I remember I was just like really busy around that time.
Yeah, yeah. So what were you trying to say? You're getting into acting, or you've been doing it? You dancer, DJ. I mean, you're a very talented guy, like in the arts. Um, young guy, 24. Like you know you got the whole future ahead of you. Like, what is the thing that like DJ New is like trying to do? Like, do you want to be DJ New? Is that like your main thing,
Uh,
or is it?
right now it's the main thing that pays the bills more
Yeah.
than anything else. Uh, but I mean it all my like mostly it's been acting for me. That's kind of been like the stepping stone to it. So it's kind of like, all right, how do I just keep, as long as I can give a theatricality of that stage work. Of course, the dream is, film and TVs, like regular bookings and that. But DJing, it's fun too. That's another thing. It's like it's actually fun, and it's right now it makes me just as much as my day job. So it's kind of like a balance, and everything is kind of steady moving along. And so now where I am now is, let's just I'm kind of playing it a little bit safe before I want to get back into like, all right, let's go full force into acting again. I'm kind of in a moment where everyone has those moments where you step back, you're in between bookings, and let's build savings back up, and then we can start pushing in the other direction. And when I'm in that zone and I'm DJing, like DJ Nuah will grow, and then as acting gets better, DJ Nuah will still continue to grow. It's just it's another business venture in a
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. What are some of the venues that you played at?
Around town, I've done Myth. Um, I was in Onyx once back when it was Onyx. I think it's Elevation now. Um, I was at this place called The Spot for a while. It was a hookah lounge over down on Beach Boulevard. I think it's still open. My buddy DJ's there now. He's amazing. And oh, been at the Loft a couple times.
Okay.
I had a small residency at Mickey's for about a month and a half. That that's fun, like the Riverside area. Let's see, what are some other spots around town? Let's see, there was, I think, Exotic Lounge. There was, they had when they did the Nightmare on Bay Street. I was DJing in that.
Okay.
So yeah, I've and then what's the Dynasty Lounge? That one that opened up. Just from making connections with promoters and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we need you for this. I've been doing karaoke for this, or like a small opening R&B set or something like that. And then the Carpenter Shop. I don't know if you know what's been going on there. That's actually really cool.
Tell me about that.
Carpenter Shop. Some of the guys that were at the show,
Yeah.
at the hip hop show, they completely like transformed like one of their warehouse areas into like almost a small performance venue.
Okay.
And so they not really like hosting shows, but it's kind of just been like worship pop ups
Nice.
where it's very very similar to what we had, but like everyone just comes out there and they just share their talent, have fun. We had Uncle Reese come to a couple of them. I think you probably met the guy who runs it, Marcus Young.
What does he look like?
He's tall. He's got braids.
Yeah, I know you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
He's the one who runs it, and him and B Clef, we've just been kind of collaborating on it. Like B Clef will bring like speakers. I'll bring some speakers. He'll bring some lights. I'll bring some lights, and we just bring everyone's talents together just for like a night of worship and or Christian hip hop,
Yeah.
wherever the spirit takes us.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. You guys let me know when the next one is.
I think we did one. We just did one last month. I helped set up, but I wasn't able to attend. Because I was at Skate City. I forgot about Skate City. I don't know how I forgot about Skate City. That was my first residency.
Okay, nice.
And they did one the month before. He said he's gonna hold off this month, but he might be doing another one next month.
Okay.
In May.
Okay. There's a lot of Christian hip hop guys, like artists in town.
There are. There are.
Like more than what I thought.
It's like every event I go to, I find more like, wow, I did not realize there were so many of you. But the more I think about it, it's been that way for a while.
Yeah.
I can't, if you go back to even the early 2000s, I don't remember everyone who was around then, but there was a union that was actually a rap group. I don't remember everyone who was in it. I just remember Big Phil was a part of that. Mm-hmm. They had that one song, "The Lord Have Mercy," that I played. I don't know if you saw the video that they posted. It was like, I'm taking it all the way back because they ain't gonna know this one. But that was I don't know how I even remember that song. That was a throwback. Let's see. I think there was. I forgot. I've never. If I pronounced their name wrong, I'm sorry. But it's like Dunamis or Dunamis. They had a song called "The Power." I got the power. You got the power. We got the power. So what we gonna do with it? And then there was this one underground CD that just got passed around between everyone around my church. That kind of just got us into Christian hip hop with this one song, "Industry Puppets," and the version that's out on streaming is not the version that was on that CD. It's like an underground deep cut, and it's so much better. Oh my God! He wasn't trying to bash cats, nothing like that, but he was definitely just like, all right, we just gonna spit truth real quick. Yeah. And Sean Matthews was another one that that's one of the people I grew up listening to. Cross Movement also. Yeah. Canton Jones, The Password. I think The Password was on that album, was on that CD too. I don't know who ripped it or burned it or put it together, but they're the ones who put me onto a lot of my foundational Christian hip hop. This is maybe 5 or 3 years before Lecrae. I started listening to Lecrae.
Yeah, yeah. And there's this newer breed of Christian hip hop guys in town too.
Yeah.
So you got guys who've been around 20 years, and you got the newer guys who've been coming out. It's good to see. I'm wondering if there's a way to kind of bring the older with the newer and do more to get more synergy. That's the thing I want to do, because I'm an outsider. Mm-hmm. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a construction and real estate development company. I've just been a fan of Christian hip hop for over 10 years, and I just felt led a year ago after going to one of the many shows that Murray Hill puts on, with different big names in the industry coming in through town. And I'm like, man, why don't we just do our own show? So, I've been friends with Titus for a few years, Chawwell with Scarlet Letter Society. And, 3 of us kind of were the curators of the Set Free thing that we did. And so I've been meeting some people, because of that show. I know a lot of people now, from doing it. And then, I've been meeting been hearing about the names of the people who've been around for 20 years, mm-hmm. and I've been meeting the newer ones. And one of the things that I want to do is put together a festival similar to the Smoke Fest that the Indie Tribe does in Nashville. I want to do something like that in Jacksonville. That's my ultimate goal.
That'd be really good. And there are lots of even churches that are big enough to host something like that.
And so just getting the local guys mm-hmm. all together. I know not everyone will probably, be available or be interested for one thing or another, but the thing really is and the reason why I feel so driven to doing that is even when I saw you DJ for the first time, when the God Over Money tour came through Jacksonville with Bizzle and Dayton and Big Breeze and Scooty Wop. Mm-hmm. And then Dayton sharing his testimony, dude, that his testimony is so powerful, and people don't know, people who just don't really get down with Christian hip hop because they think, oh, it's just hip hop and it's not really Christian. Man, it's a vehicle that God uses to connect with people, because like not everyone's just gonna come to church,
Right.
right? But they might be into hip hop, and you invite them out, and it's similar to like Dayton's testimony. He just basically got invited to a Christian hip hop show, and he kind of was not really into it, but I think the girl who invited him, he was like trying to be friends with her or whatever, and the Holy Spirit spoke to him that night. And then he, from that seed was planted. Then he changed. He stopped rapping secularly. He started rapping for the Lord as he gave his life to the Lord. And like just hearing that powerful testimony, that's why I'm a big proponent. That's why I want more people to see it, because I've been a hip hop fan my whole life. Since I was like 8 years old, like almost 40 years of my life, I've been into hip hop, and I just know that there's other people out there that may not go to church, but they might go see something in hip hop, and they get them out to something like that, and they hear a testimony like a Dayton or whoever, that might be their opportunity to hear the gospel. So that's why I'm a big fan of it, and I just want to keep doing events and collaborating with other people in the genre, like people like you, DJs and artists and things like that, and just get some synergy in the city. Because I'm very like, I moved here to Jacksonville to basically start my business. I was living on the West Coast in LA. So part of the reason why I moved is because I knew going to business full time was 15 years as a corporate person. I basically said, I'm done working. I'm going to go 100% into my own venture. I knew I couldn't, I knew it'd be a lot riskier to do it in California because of the cost of living. And I had some family in Jacksonville. My mom and sister, they had some roots already in Jacksonville for about 20 years at the time when I moved here. So I moved here because of that, but also because I believed in this city. I was like, this city has so much potential. I'm from Maryland, and Baltimore, Maryland is like kind of the biggest city in the state, and Baltimore is very similar to Jacksonville. You got a big old river that comes up through it, and Baltimore, they've really utilized that. Like they got the inner harbor where all the stadiums are. It's very lively. There's so much going on, and I see that potential can happen here in Jacksonville. But the bonus here is we also have a beach that's not that far away.
Right, less than what, 20, 15 miles, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, I believe like there's potential in the city. I like this part of Florida because it you don't get a true winter, but it's definitely more of a winter than you get down in South Florida. So you got some seasons. It's the first major city as you come into the state. So like I used to drive up to Maryland once or twice a year to go visit family. I don't do that drive anymore now that my kids are older. Like I couldn't stand being in a car with them that long. So now we fly, but to drive up there, it's not too bad.
Okay.
You can do it, overnight and like 10, 12 hours or whatever. But I believed in the city, and I feel like as I've been getting into more of the music scene and meeting people, that there's that opportunity to build some type of festival. So that's like my goal. I don't know if that's going to be something that's realized in 2024, it's going to be 2025, or it's going to be sometime out. But I just want to keep building on like the little bit that I've done, and I've been meeting people, and the good thing, the thing I love about as I've been, meeting people, man, everyone's just like so open and inviting, like having conversations, like telling me, introducing me to other people and things like that. So it's just cool, not really being from here, but now that I've been here and been putting myself out there, just meeting the people, and everyone's like showing me love, man. It's just a cool thing. So for you, you've been going to Potter's House, you went to school there, man, you're like fully ingrained and everything that has to do with that. I mean, it's a great movement from, I don't attend church there. But I know some people. I know Reese, who's the youth pastor. I guess he's been there for a couple years. Met some other members there. Just through the different things I've been I'm going to and involved in. What makes Potter House the light that it is for the community?
I say, well, first thing is the many different ways that they try to outreach. Like, they've got the food drive, they've got the clothing drive. The one thing Bishop has really prided on, especially if you look at like the history of Potter's House, is how much he tries to give back. Or how much tries, but like you see, like he gives back. I call it what is it? The Bishop Scholarship. That's what I was joking with my sister, who's in college age. Like, yeah, I got, because she actually got a scholarship from the church when she graduated because she was valedictorian. I'm like, I got the bishop blessed me on the side scholarship. Does that count? Because like that's bishop. Like if he sees an opportunity to bless someone, he's not gonna just hesitate to bless them.
Yeah.
Because he's blessed, and that's just as someone who has if he's got it, he can bless someone. He's gonna bless someone. That's just who he is.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, he's in return blessed even more.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. Who do you like? Who do you love? Like, who's your favorite like Christian hip hop guys that you like? You put their playlist on. You listen to their music. Like, who's your like top
It's
five? Or
It's between Lecrae and Andy for sure. Those are like top two. And then like around then that's where it all kind of depends on how I'm feeling. Like that's why I love like how diverse Christian hip hop is now. Like there is a Christian hip hop artist for just about every background of person now. Like I remember my first time seeing What Up RG live. I've seen him live once before Set Free, and the guys like waved a Mexican flag. I'm like, wow, I'm looking at Mexican people worshiping the Lord inside a church, and like and it's such a weird political climate that like something like that, like you'd think that they'd be scared to be like, hey, we love Jesus too. Like, no, we should. Like, we love Jesus. There's also a huge like factor of like, hey, Jesus can reach everyone. That's why I like KB so much. Like,
yeah,
KB is up there too.
the dude is solid.
I was just telling someone about King Jesus, his song King Jesus the other day, or no, yesterday actually. The song switches beats into 3 or 4 different cultures because I'm actually Caribbean, or my parents are.
Okay.
So like dad's from St. Thomas, mom's from St. Kitts. So even growing up, I'm not just listening to one kind of music. I'm hearing dancehall, I'm hearing reggae, I'm hearing soca, and I'm also hearing 80s music. I'm hearing some 90s. I'm hearing some 70s. Like I grew up hearing everything. That's how I'm like, oh, that's how I ended up becoming a DJ. But when it comes to different styles of music, like there's even gospel for that stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much, and so when I want to like try to get everything, KB, definitely. And then sometimes I'm feeling nostalgic. I go back to my 8th grade playlist. So like that's a lot of Uncle Reese and Brinson.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah, Brinson's solid, man. I started listening to some of his stuff. Like I think a lot of their stuff came out before I got into Christian hip hop.
Or like right around the time he says 2013. Like
Yeah.
a lot of their, I remember I was like 12 or 13 around the time I started listening to them heavy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's about the same time.
Yeah, Titus has been putting me down with more Brinson stuff. I think he mixes at the his new church, the Grove, and he's been like putting me down, like, hey man, you gotta listen to this old Brinson stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, man, that stuff is solid. Who like a local guy that you think might be, you got the big names. You mentioned Lecrae, you mentioned Andy, you mentioned KB. Love KB, man. That dude, like his flow is so doctrinally like solid.
Yeah, like
and
literally
he preaches. I mean, I love that guy.
Like this man manages to sneak a flawless flow in with preaching.
Yeah,
and not just preach with a flawless flow. He preaches, but he just has a flawless flow while he does it.
And his bars are so good. Like he did, like the one song he did, that remix with Hovey. He dropped like that Ben Stiller, Zoolander bar.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh,
yes.
Dude, I love that. I love how he did that.
That was crazy, man.
My face blue still, but I ain't Ben Stiller. And like, I was like, oh, that dude was nice. So I like how crafty he is. Is he Caribbean? Because I know, like, I seen some.
I think his wife is from Puerto Rico.
Okay, that's probably because I saw like some posts that he puts on IG. Like, it looks like he's down in the Caribbean. I think Chawwell. I think his family's from St. Thomas.
I think he did mention that. I don't know if we talked about it or if he mentioned it, but I do remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Either that or he might know my dad, and
Yeah, I think his parents just were retired, and so they moved from the Caribbean, from the Virgin Islands, I think,
Okay.
here to Jacksonville, like not that long ago. He was telling me about.
Okay.
Um, oh, dude, what was I going to ask you?
'Cause how old is Chawwell?
He's like my age, 46.
Yeah.
I'm 45.
I'm about to say,
He's
if
46.
he's from St. Thomas, he may not know my dad, but he might know my uncle. Because he's a couple. My dad's a couple years older than him, so he might have. It's
Yeah.
not a big island, but it's not like everyone knows each other because it's still like 12 miles long. You're not gonna know everyone on the island.
Yeah. You ever go there?
Not as often as we used to, but yeah, we used to go like once or twice a year. Now recently it's like once every couple years. I haven't been down in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I was asking about local artists. Like, is there any local artists that you feel like, man, I think they're really gonna blow up, like, or they're on track, like they got some momentum,
Uh,
whether it's local or maybe
Not to say
even
just
just
well, but say just local. I'd go with one Fearless. I know you see him
Yeah.
everywhere,
yeah,
but like I've listened to some of his stuff, and he's good. I don't know why I'm blanking on the hometown hero's name right now.
oh, Gavin,
Gavin,
Young
yeah,
Drew, yeah,
Young Drew, like that. I remember I saw him once, like early on. I'm like, okay, he's got a really good flow. He just needs to work on performance and showmanship. And then like next time I see him, boom, I'm like, oh, okay. Next time I see him, boom. It's like
yeah,
there's like worlds of growth every time I see him come on stage. So
100%.
he's gonna blow. He's
100%.
definitely going to.
Yeah, I was telling him that when he dropped his latest project, North Pine Avenue. Not just the performing, but just how more dynamic he's
Mhm.
been in his flow. Like before, it's like aggressive,
Mhm.
right? Which is
Yeah.
like that's a style that I like. But now he's been like showing some different variations
Yeah,
in his
variations, and
flow.
even just I'm starting to see him start to work his crowd too.
Yeah,
Like that was the one thing. Like before, he was kind of really closed off, and now, you saw him working the crowd at Set Free. Like he was like, "All right, let's doom.
hmm
All right," because but before then, he would literally just, "This is my new track," and then play it.
hmm
And now then he had that whole intro when he brought the other guy out. I was like, "Yo!" 'Cause I saw him, but I didn't know he was coming out. So that was a surprise even for me.
yeah. What I love about people like Young Drew is he's always trying to put everyone down.
Hmm.
Like his heart is not about me. He's wanting to bring everyone and give them the opportunity to
Yeah.
share in that stage.
Hmm.
I really love that about him. And man, Holy Cabana, man, he's making some music.
And me and him, man. We've actually hung out a couple times after because he goes to Potter's house, so we've
Yeah.
hung out after church, and sometimes, man, there was one time we were all at one of the youth leaders' house, and John was there, and we were all just talking, just like having fellowship until like maybe 10 o'clock. We got there at maybe like 2. We were talking like literally until 10 o'clock, and then I didn't take John home that night, but every couple other times I'll take him home and we'll talk, man. He'll bounce ideas off of me, and he'll like, hey, this is what I've been doing, and then I'll be like, man, every time I see him, like, of course, like I was like in that target demographic of Boot Gang, so like every time like, I see the transformation, I'm like, God is just working.
Yes.
God is working.
Absolutely.
Like every time I see him, I'm like, wow, like just like he's an example. Like I see him going around, he's baptizing people, and we talk. He's genuine. Like
Yeah.
he genuinely wants more of the things of God.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love seeing Holy Gabbana.
I watched many hours of interviews that he's done because I wasn't familiar with him. You guys are 20 years younger than me, so I was already like a dozen years into my Christian walk, so I wasn't watching like that type of content online. So I didn't really know much about his story. And Reese mentioned him to me a couple times, and he even came out to the Set Free. I still really didn't know who he was. Like I didn't like see him like, oh, that's a guy with millions of followers online. My best friend brought his nephew from Maryland. They flew into town, and he was like excited when he saw him. He's like, oh man, that's Monk Gang. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's John, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I still didn't really know his story.
Right.
He got a picture with him and everything. He was all fired up about it. And then it was like really kind of after that, and then I was like, oh, okay. I started following him on Instagram. I started looking at his story. I'm like, dude, kind of where he was to where he is. Cause I shared this with him because I was very fortunate to have him like in here doing an interview with him. He's one of the only people who I've met in person who had a Holy Spirit experience. Cause I had one too. Like when I came to the Lord, surrendered my life to the Lord, actually 21 years ago, it was Easter weekend. And I wasn't in a church. I was in a hotel room. I was working. My job is like a year or two out of college, going through a lot of stuff and just had health problems. Like I used to play ball. I was I wasn't like the greatest athlete, but I, played sports and I was pretty, active my whole life. Now I'm like 23, 24 years old, high blood pressure, doing all these medical tests, broken relationship. I'm now with my, my now wife over 20 years, but back then we had a breakup and I thought it was the person I was going to marry. Then we, things didn't work out at the time. And, had all this, baggage that I brought up from my childhood. I lived in the projects. My mom's from Vietnam, but my parents divorced, had this anger with my dad, just like all this. I used to get in fights all the time as a kid, just growing up in the projects. And, I was just at this really low place and I knew of God. My mom's Catholic, so I kind of thought I was just a good person. I kind of measured myself up on like, I think that person's a bad person. But I know I'm better than them. So I thought I was just good because I wasn't as bad as all these other people. And I didn't know God's standard for sin. Where, he's 100% just. So I didn't know that, what my lifestyle, even though I thought I was better than others, but I was still living a life that was taking me to hell. So I was in this hotel room and I don't even know if I was praying. I just was like basically thinking and calling on the Lord, like, Lord, like I'm in this really low place. And all of a sudden I had this like this Holy Spirit kind of came over me. And I was scared initially, but then it was like this peace. And I can't explain it because it's not like I saw Jesus or anything, but I felt the Holy Spirit. I knew he was with me. And it completely changed my life from that moment because, and there's a lot more. This is like 21 years ago, so I had to really think about all these. I probably should like journal out like exactly what happened so I can, really get into my thoughts on it. But after that, like I just like gave myself, I surrendered my life to the Lord. And the Holy Spirit started working in me. Like I used to cuss like a sailor. I could not say a sentence without dropping an F-bomb. Like that's just how bad like I spoke. And I was convicted of my profanity with my tongue and I could not curse anymore. I couldn't listen to hip hop music anymore. I couldn't, be doing fornication anymore. I couldn't have, and I didn't want this anger that was this yoke over me. And so, from that time, I got baptized. A few months after that, ended up getting reconciling with my girlfriend. We got engaged and got married less than a year after that. And so, went on this journey. And, I shared that with John. I was like, man, dude, like, I know there's a lot of people who've had a similar experience with the Holy Spirit. I've never personally met anybody other than John. So I wanted to let him know that. But just watching where he was to where he is, because, you hear, you think about like Kanye. I'm not going to talk about Kanye for so long, but, someone who gave his life to the Lord, loved the Lord, for where he professed Jesus is King, one of my favorite album. The one song, God Is, where he's like singing, dude, that's like, Holy Spirit is like 100% in that song. And just to see where he has fallen back into the world, now he's speaking all this blasphemy. Root for the guy, I'm praying for him. I hope he does. I hope like the Lord does continue to work on him where he will, surrender his life completely. But so when I was looking up, John Gabbana, I'm like, okay, I don't know much about him because I saw some of his content when he was only like a year saved. I'm like, all right, this guy's still like cursing and still talking about fornication and all this stuff, but he's talking about he loves the Lord. And so there wasn't a lot of that content I watched, but then like the stuff within the last 6 months to a year, just how solid he's been. I'm like, man, this dude is 100% genuine with his walk. And, the thing is, like, you can't judge a book by its cover. He is one of the most articulate people I've ever seen. Like I'm college educated. I got 3 business degree. I have my MBA. I've worked in boardrooms. I've had a 15-year corporate career. I've done billions of dollars in business. I started my own company 9 years ago, multi-million-dollar company. I don't even hold a feather to this guy at his articulation level. I mean, the guy is that talented, and I told him that. So I'm super impressed with him, and his music that he's making is dope. I mean, that dude could literally, if again, but he could literally blow up. But what I love is his humility. It's like if the Lord is calling him to do it, he'll do it. Like he's not just taking any record deal. I'm sure he's got many record deals offered to him because of his following. He has millions of people following him, but he is in 100% submission to the Lord. And I love that so much. I respect that because he knows he lived a life where the world was given to him and it was leading him to hell. Like the dude, he dodged a bullet so many times.
Yeah.
But he knows where the world will lead him, but he doesn't want that. He's in full submission to the Lord. So that dude could 100%, like if God leads him to like wanting to really do music at a high level, that dude could be the biggest thing coming out of Jacksonville. It could be one of the biggest things ever in music. So I hold him in high regard, or there's a potential. But I'm going to say this about you, man. I told you that you were the star of that show that we did to Set Free. Dude, I know you have star power, bro. Like when I saw what you did there that night, I'm like, oh my goodness. I had no idea like you were going to like at this elite level, like take over the show. And you did it like you weren't just doing it, to do it. It's just like it's just who you are as a person. So dude, I hope that you get more opportunities with DJing, performing, acting, or whatever in front of people because dude, you got star power, bro. Like, and again, it's not like I know like a bunch of stars and everything, I know a little bit about a lot of things, I know a little bit about what the industry is just from my kids doing some things and things like that. I'm not like well connected in music or anything like that. I just know a few people, but dude, Jacksonville has some talent, man. You, John Cabana, dude, you got both y'all stars for real, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I went on that rant there, man. We're talking about up and comers, Jacksonville. The hometown heroes, Gavin and Drew. Not sure what's going on with Gavin. I know he was kind of putting himself out there that he's retiring, but I don't know if that's 100% retirement or he's like MJ, kind of retired. He's coming back. I know he had a song that came out recently with Marty on Social Club. I know Young Drew just did a thing the other night at this coffee house with he had it was like a lo-fi type of thing. Ooh. Yeah, John. I think John was there too.
When was it?
It was on March 30th. It was just the other night.
Oh yeah, I think they did tell me about it, but because I work on Saturday nights, I couldn't make it.
Yeah,
but I did hear about it, especially because John just did a festival too at the beaches.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I went out to that. Yeah,
I heard he rocked it too.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, he killed it, man. Yeah, he did. He performed 2 days. I went the first night and saw him out there. That's actually I chatted with him for a second there. Okay. And then I told Reese, man, tell John, you should do a podcast with me. So Reese hooked it up and he made it happen. Fearless was just I interviewed Fearless the other day. Nice. He came on the show. Good heart, man. I went out to this thing that Gene Darius does. I don't know if he's a Potterhouse guy, but he does every other month they do a thing for the homeless, not too far from here, over I forget the name of the street, but they it's like a food and clothing drive for the homeless. So I came out to that with Reese 2 months ago.
What's his name again?
Gene Darius.
Gene Darius. I think the name's ringing a bell, but I think like saying like 3 or 4 different faces because they either have Gene or they have Darius in their name. Like I'm bad with names. I'm much better with faces than I am with names. Cause like I see a name and I can like put like 4 or 5 faces to it. It's weird with that.
Yeah. But yeah. Fearless was out there, like just helping out. He did some stuff. Reese did some songs there too, so they blessed the crowd with their music. It was cool seeing that. And they actually had an event too on March 30th. So there was 2 events going on March 30th. They did a fundraiser for some type of kids, or I think it was like a prison thing or something. I know Fearless was part of that. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to either.
Mm.
Like I was like, man, because I wanted to go to both. The thing that Drew did at the coffee house and that fundraiser at Murray Hill, but I was in Orlando at Disney for my oldest. We took her to Disney World for an early birthday present, so
Awesome.
I wasn't able to make it back in time to attend either of those events. I really wanted to go, but I missed out. But so what are I guess what's I think I already asked you this, but like future plans. Like I know you mentioned, getting some more into acting, saving up some money, doing some things. I know you're definitely someone who loves the Lord and kind of just being in like we're talking about Holy Gabbana, just being in submission to where the Lord leads them. What I guess for your goals, kind of coming out of this year, going into next, like what are some of the things that you're looking to do?
And these are kind of like really big goals. If they happen, they happen. I don't really want to like kind of course, you have to like make your own opportunities, but right now, I know I'm kind of in a safe spot, like with day jobs and stuff like that, but I do want to get booked on a tour. Like that's what I was actually working towards like right before I got where I'm at now. I was trying to get on like a theater tour. That's what I was actually trying to audition for. Just to experience like when I can get on stage again, because I haven't really been on stage in 4 years. And then and also just because that's just kind of how you make a lot of connections in different places, You tour, you meet people, you make genuine connections, and then, then your network broadens. And if you're ever in a spot again, now you have people you can connect with who can connect you with other people.
Yeah.
And your network just grows.
Yeah.
So I know it's something that I do want to do, and I know that I'm just kind of waiting for I don't want to say like waiting for God to give me the right opportunity, but right now I'm kind of where God's blessed me with, where I am here, and I don't want to push too soon, but I also don't want to wait too long, and so I just kind of just hoping that when the right opportunity comes, I can have God God in my corner, like, hey, that's it, go do it, go do it. Go do it. I said go do it. All right.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, what comes to mind when I hear you say that is, utilizing someone else's network, right? So if you're able to, get on a tour or whatever, you're utilizing that. But what I also hear you say is, you're being submission, you're listening, but you're also, you seem like someone who, if you wanted to make your own path, that you could. Right, but you want to know, okay, Lord, is this what you want me to do? Because I'm a make your own path type of guy. Like I was someone who went all in on unknown, uncharted territories. Like I quit a corporate career, 6+ figures, all of the fringe benefits you can think of, working in corporate America for 15+ years, and I'm like, you know what, but I didn't just jump into it like without thinking. Like it was like a not a super long process, maybe 6 to 9 months. Did a lot of fasting, had like my close spiritual friends praying together, discussing it, like, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't just my selfish ambition to do what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to make sure like this is the Lord, he has his hand in this is where he wants me to go. And I feel like that's what the Lord's like led for me. So I can look back, they say hindsight's 20/20, right?
Right.
So I'm looking back 9 years. I look at all the past that the Lord created to be where I'm at now. Got this multi-million-dollar company. I employ like 15 to 20 people. I got vehicles on the road. I got like multiple offices. I got all these things. It wasn't easy. The last couple of years have been a lot better than the first few years, for sure. But like I said, selfishly, I told this to John Cabana. I was like, selfishly, I want you to like make music because I really feel like because I want to hear it. I want to see you excel in music. And like, I kind of had that same sentiment for you. Like selfishly, I want you to like go out there and do your thing because I think you got that star power, bro. I don't say that to just anybody.
And what's funny is like my dad's been telling me the same thing. Like for the past couple months, he's been like really pushing me to, hey, get back in the studio, start making some music again. Because I got big into remixing and production because I was a DJ and
I've seen some of your remixes that you put on SoundCloud. And things like
so
that.
I played a lot of them actually played a lot of them actually in the mix, and I played a bunch of like unreleased stuff that I started. I got to a finishing point, or not a finishing point, but I got to like a point where I'm like, all right, I think I can. Let's start mixing it. And I didn't want to. Last time I mixed and mastered something, it just took me too long. So I wanted to find someone that I trusted with it, and everyone that I trusted was like, no, I'm not. I don't trust my own sound yet. I'm like, ah. So it just kind of got stuck in the vault, but. You're like the second person is like, yo, I really need you to hop in and start making some music. And I just like, I need to make sure. One, I need to know like what, I want to know like what, I'm praying like, hey, God, how do you want me to deliver the message? Because I know what the message is. Now the method is delivery. Because, especially with my generation, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And if you're going to say, and even what you say, you have to be able to, one, like back it up. Like even the Bible says you have to have an answer for every question. I want to make sure I'm there before I start, start spreading it. And I got to be able to back it up.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Good stuff, man. Well, hey, man, if you ever want to collaborate on any projects, you let me know, man. Like I said, I think you're a super talented guy. What's the best way for people to find you, look you up?
Instagram. Pretty much most platforms is DJ_Nuah. That's DJ_NUAH. Just think of the guy who built the ark, but with a U instead of an O.
Nice. So your real name's Nuah. Right?
Chinua. Yeah.
Right. Sorry for saying it wrong.
It's all good.
Yeah. Is that what's the origin of that name?
Nigerian.
Okay.
It's Igbo. Means God's own.
Nice. I feel like I've seen that name before. I couldn't remember who.
Might have been a book called Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe.
Okay.
That's the most known one. And there is another musician out there with the same name as me. I don't know.
Also a DJ? Also go by DJ Nuah?
I think he does. I think he's on keys. I've never actually met him, but it's funny. One of my friends, Bobby Wintons, he goes by Bob on keys. When he was in high school, that's how far back we go. I met him in his senior year of high school. I was 11. We made a song together that one day. He just kept calling me Chinua Hawk. And then a couple years later, like I found the guy on Facebook. I was like, oh, that's what he meant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I do know of him. I haven't actually met him, but he's another musician. And I think there is a third one that I remember seeing somewhere, but it's been so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most famous one is the author of the book Things Fall Apart.
Awesome.
It's a really good book too.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. So DJ_Nuah, that's where they find you.
DJ_Nuah. Also, if you see me around or if you see me in the Full Sail commercial, just if you can comment, just comment the hashtag "Oh snap, that's Nuah."
Oh snap, that's Nuah. That's your tagline.
Yeah. Oh snap, that's Nuah.
Nice. Anything that you want to talk about that I didn't ask, or parting words?
You guys be blessed. Stay safe out there. People don't know how to drive in the rain anymore.
Awesome. Well, hey, you see my main man, DJ Nuah. This is scottfreedevore. You're checking out the Free Factor podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, bell button, all that good stuff. And we'll check you out next time.
Real interviews, real guests, no actors. Real talk, get prepared for Free Factor.